Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Oh, look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee. You sure?
It's cultist coffee.
What makes it cultist coffee? I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it. Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. Hey, we are low tech again today. I'm sorry about that, but I have not been doing very well for about the past 2 or 3 days. I'm trying to get stuff done, and I just have not, and it's taking its toll on me. So I'm not ready for being on camera. I'm here, but I'm not ready for being on camera. I gotta turn things around here soon. So I'm just not suitable for being on camera. But this morning I did finish Dune. That's one of the reasons one of the other things I was trying to do today was to try to finish Dune, and I did. I've been trying to finish that as well. Of course, that was kind of a lower priority task, but I didn't want to get it done. I need to watch the movie again. Now I'll watch the movie again between now and when we talk about Dune with on Table Talk. But hey, Tomocrat. Hey, Charlie. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Lynn and James and Brent. Good morning. Good morning. So Sable says, Heath, wasn't Dune an incredible book? Well, I've got to. I know you're going to be upset with this over here, but I thought that lost it in the second half. I didn't. I know you said it was one of your favorite books of all times. And I thought that it was good. There was a lot of good things about it, but I just didn't get it. I was writing down all of these questions about this book and what was going on in the story that I just didn't get. And I didn't pay them off, in my opinion. So I'm interested to see what Brianna and Doug think. And then also what you say about that during our discussions of Dune as we go. So yeah. Maybe I just didn't get it. The ending is cutting off ahead of the expected ending on purpose. Well, okay. I thought the first half was really good. And then I thought they actually had a direction they were going at about halfway through the book. And I was like, oh, right, this is going to be, because I really, really enjoyed the first half of the book. And then I thought they ended, or like the first half of the book ended with, direction for the second half. But then he just didn't do anything with it. So, and didn't actually develop those storylines, I thought. So, I thought the second half dragged. Sable says Herbert got questioned about the ending of the book many times, and he did it that way for a specific reason. It took me. Tom McCrat says it took me a few rereads, to be honest. Dune is a bait and switch. It comes off like a typical hero's journey, but Paul is not a hero. He explores the storylines in later books. Well, but it didn't make me want to continue. That would be the thing. I said, well, maybe other parts of this are fantastic, but after going through the second half of the book, expecting something to happen that never did, it did not make me go, oh man, now I've got to read the rest of those Dune books. That was not the effect that it had on me. So we will see. All right, we've also got to get one of the things is a new book to be reading in the morning for our morning ritual. We should at least breathe and sip right here. But let's do that. And then I've got to get the Daily Stoic for us to continue our morning ritual. But then we'll just go right into the Book of Exalted Deeds. I am still, I got my scripts written for some videos about the online gaming coffee shop yesterday. And also I got like 6 of those I've got to produce. And I think I got 4 or 5 of them written. I'm going to go over and make sure that they're right. And then I'm going to go take a shower and then record those videos. Because I'm also about 90% done with those landing pages as well. So I'm interested in getting those up and running, getting back to where I should have been like 3 months ago or 3 weeks ago. Herbert said, I wrote the Dune series because I had this idea that charismatic leaders ought to come with a warning label on their foreheads. May be dangerous to your health. Okay. I mean, I think I might have seen that someplace as well. Now, because you know what was not dangerous to your health? Those Sardaukar. That was one of my things. I did not believe that those Imperial troops were quality troops because I never saw them do anything. You could just always beat them. The only way that you could not beat them is if they surprised you, like in the beginning of the book. And then afterwards, yeah, you can just beat those guys. Okay. Like, at some place you need to have some kind of like defeat. All right, anyway, let's breathe and sip and then let's talk about the Book of Exalted Deeds. We will go into Dune in depth the week before the movie comes out. We're going to talk about the first half of the book and the first movie on Table Talk, on the Table Talk channel. And then we'll see the second half of the movie and talk about that on the Table Talk the next day. Maybe so, Lynn. All right, let's breathe and sip. 2 deep breaths, in through the mouth, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Deep breaths, complete inhales, complete exhales. And let's take a sip of your favorite beverage this morning. Here we go. All right. Let's take a look. Let's continue here with our... Oh, I need to stop the syncing with the... let's see. All right. So Exalted Adventurers. I think we got some interesting topics coming up in here. So Exalted Adventurers here. It's possible to take a party of exalted characters and let them make their way through any D&D adventure. They're still D&D characters, even if their motivations might differ from those of many other characters. Of the abilities they bring, and the abilities they bring to bear might be different as well. However, if an adventurer doesn't speak to their motivations, they might take it in a completely different direction than the DM intended. Likewise, a campaign needs to address what matters to the characters, offer them opportunities to shine in terms of both using the powers they had acquired and demonstrating their heroic righteousness, and providing them with truly evil opponents to face. This section, more than any other in the book, is designed with the dungeon master in mind. Nothing here needs to be off limits to players' eyes, but DMs in particular will find a specific advice about how to craft adventures and campaigns that feature exalted characters to their best effort. Let heroes be heroes. There are two sides to this maxim. On one hand, don't put player characters into situations where the only one way to succeed is to be a scoundrel or a villain. On the other hand, let players do things that matter, that make a difference in the world and in the lives of its people. It's okay to put a mature group of players in a situation where they face difficult choices, because the right thing to do from a moral and ethical perspective, between the right thing to do from a moral and ethical perspective and the easy thing to do. It's okay to let them suffer a little bit in the short term for making the right choices for righteousness over reward. Good people rarely have it easy in life, and the exalted characters may find themselves especially persecuted, hated, and reviled. You can force them to suffer setbacks in order to remain on the straight and narrow path of righteousness, but as a general rule, don't force them to suffer devastating failure. This is a general rule, not a universal one. There are many... They may, in fact, be times when a glorious martyrdom for the entire party is an acceptable climax to an adventure or campaign. Only if everyone's okay with losing their character. Has anyone ever done that? Having the entire game, and I suppose then, therefore, your entire campaign end in the glorious martyrdom of the entire party? Did that work well? Did it go well? If your player characters are ready to start a new group of PCs, younger heroes will eventually rise to vanquish the evil that claimed the lives of the saints that gone before. Or you envision a period of time where every PC becomes a risen martyr in order to bring the campaign to a close. Then let the characters find themselves facing a choice between certain death and ultimate corruption. You could, I guess you could engineer everything to engineer it to go to this type of ending, that type of ending. If you could get all of the characters on board with that, that could be a great way to go. Yeah, nah, just ignominious TPKs that weren't planned, at least by the players. Sable says, I'm sad to say that I never played into a total party kill myself. Have I... I know I've DM'd a total party kill. And we had that as well. Oh, yeah. I guess I have played in one. The Shahagwin Adventures by Bruce R. Cordell definitely got us. We kind of co-DM'd that one. Equally as important, let the character... Choices their character... Equally as important, let the choices and their actions matter. Don't send exalted characters on dungeon crawl after dungeon crawl with no higher purpose than garnering as much loot as possible. The better to fight evil monsters with. Their confrontation with the forces of evil should not be random or haphazard, and shouldn't quest after holy relics just so they can use them to smite the monster behind the next door. Characters built around a mission to combat evil don't want to just combat it wherever they happen to break down a door and find an evil monster there. They want to foil nefarious plans, uncover diabolical cults, and slay not just evil monsters, but evil villains. They need to know that when they purge a dungeon of every creature within, they have made a difference in the world. They prevented future raids on the nearby village, stopped the cultist from calling their archdevil master of the world, or concretely tip the cosmic balance in favor of good for at least some time. James says, I played into one. It involved a cursed sword, a vindictive and mentally fatigued DM, and some really bad character moments. I was not responsible, but I did not survive. Along the same lines, appeal to the PC's motivations, a fundamental rule of adventure design. Don't offer a sizable financial reward to a group of PCs who have all sworn a vow to poverty. Better still, let a group of characters who might be strapped for cash show their true heroism by helping out when there's no hope of reward. Later, surprise them when with treasure that more than meets their financial needs. They shouldn't be good for the sake of reward, but virtue can have rewards besides virtue itself. Cast most adventurers, if not every one, in terms of a conflict between good and evil, not just conflicts between people and monsters with lots of treasure involved. Oh, that happened to you at Gen Con, Tomocrat? Let's see. Exalted heroes need vile foes. They've got exalted heroes need vile foes. Get to the roots, and then bringing the good out of evil. Much of the material in this book is designed specifically to address similar material in the Book of Vile Darkness. There are orders dedicated to the celestial paragons that combat the fiendish cults described here, beneficent spells designed to alleviate the effects of vile spells, and so on. You don't need the Book of Vile Darkness to make a satisfying adventure for Exalted PCs, but truly vile villains also help create a sense of contrast that makes players feel all that more heroic. Exalted characters shouldn't be struggling to foil the plans of vaguely sinister bureaucrats who plot to raise taxes in his province. Instead, they should fight the undead hordes of Yerston, the Grey Lord, while seeking to liberate the mentally enslaved soldiers that swell the army's ranks, or quest to destroy the demon-possessed blue dragon of Essentir, who is gathering a demonic army to conquer the tribes of the desert. Nope, conquering the dune here? Yeah, no, that's true. Con one-shots, that's a fine way to end one at a con. Or any type of one-shot in general. Let's see. Okay, what does get to the roots? Exalted characters tend to look at the big picture, or at least they should be encouraged in that direction. If a tribe of once peaceful lizard folk has started conquering large stretches of human territory, exalted characters should wonder what caused the change in behavior, rather than just slaughtering hordes of neutral creatures. Perhaps a black dragon moved in on their old territory, forcing them to relocate, and the characters with enough patience and skill in diplomacy can negotiate a peaceful settlement. On the other hand, perhaps a demonic cult has been actively encouraging the lizard folk, has converted or killed their leader and seized control of the tribe. In this case, the cause of good is better served by going straight to the top and unseating the corrupted leader, rather than simply slaughtering all the lizard folk and characters they can find. Lizard folk characters they can find. The lizard folk the characters can find. The campaign that features exalted characters should also allow those characters also ample opportunity to address the root causes of the problems they face, so they can not only stop evil in its tracks, but also prevent it from ever regaining the same foothold. Rather than blindingly striking where the many-headed hydra of evil should happen to rear its next ugly head, exalted characters should have an opportunity to root out its origin, even to strike at its heart, perhaps in a climactic campaign-ending battle. Okay, good out of evil. This is often controversial. Can you bring good out of evil? Deities in D&D universe are not omnipotent. They do not have control over everything that happens on the material plane, even events directly related to their portfolio. Mortals have free will, exemplified by the willingness of most player characters, and often chose to act in ways that are contrary to the bidding of one or more deity. If a deity wants events to unfold a certain way, she must react to the actions of mortals and try to shape events through circumstances, through her mortal servants and direct application of divine power to turn those actions toward her own ends. A good dungeon master, rather than forcing his players along a certain course of actions and events, adapts this adventure in response to their characters and brings the adventure back to them. In this way, the deities of good, unable to force mortals to be good, work to turn even the most evil actions mortals perform around to good ends. As agents of good, many heroes find themselves in the situation of bringing good out of evil. This is grim work, and the most exalted characters loathe the idea that all they can do is clean up the messes caused by evil. This is important work, however, for without it, humans could quickly lose all faith in goodness. When designing adventures for exalted characters, it's not enough that after finding a village burned to the ground and its inhabitants raised as zombies to serve the evil necromancer, the PCs wipe out the zombie army and slay the necromancer. There must also be some opportunity for them to bring good out of the horrible tragedy of the village. Perhaps the players can hold up the example of the village to quarreling neighboring nations, inspiring them to put aside differences and cooperate to help the PCs defeat the zombie army and kill the necromancer. Well, that's going to be difficult. Yeah. So how do we get good to come out of the zombie village that everybody got turned to a zombie and then the heroes came through and killed? They say we get good out of that by holding up the village as an example to quarreling neighboring nations, inspiring them to put aside their differences and cooperate to help the PCs defeat the zombie army and kill the necromancer. Afterwards, the two nations might sign a lasting peace accord in the ruins of the village, then work together to rebuild it in memory of the dead. Okay. Sable says, every time it talks about exalted characters, I can't help but think the Exalted RPG. I know we haven't looked at that one here. Hey, good morning, Robert. Lynn says, I've never liked the kill the monsters because they're monsters mentality. Sure, some need to be taken care of, but others can be negotiated with or also made into allies. So we go over here to, this is a variant. This is like rules variants. This chapter includes variant rules covering a variety of exalted topics, from channeling celestials to incorporating voluntary poverty and nonviolence into a game that is often about killing monsters and taking their stuff. These rules may not be suitable for your campaign, and your GM should give final approval on whether or not you can use them. So, okay, what is channeling here? It says channeling. Certain fiends are known for their ability to seize control of creatures or objects, a phenomenon known as possession. So we did look at possession when we were taking a look at the Book of Vile Darkness. Possession was in it. And I think there were a lot of pretty good rules and detailed rules for possessions in that book. Respect for the life and dignity of sentient creatures bars good creatures from usurping control of another in this manner. However, some celestials are content to exercise their power through a mortal form if the mortal host invites them to do so. Similar in many ways to fiendish possession, celestial channeling is an important means by which the forces of good work in the world. Celestial channeling works in a manner similar to the possess mortal divine salient ability that some deities have, as detailed in deities and demigods. In addition to deities, some celestials have the spell-like ability to invest mortals with their power in this fashion, and their spells, Channel Celestial and Channel Greater Celestial, both described in Chapter 6, that allow mortals to invite any celestial into their bodies in this way. Yeah, it's the founding effect, right, Lynn? OD&D set the tone way back in the day, and its legacy has lasted for decades. Definitely a strong founder's effect. Unlike fiendish possessions, channeling works only if the mortal is willing. The celestial does not assume an ethereal form in preparation for possessing the mortal. It simply merges its own form with the mortal as part of its spell-like ability. As with possession, spells such as protection from good block celestial channeling, even if the spell's target is willing to channel the celestial. Similarly, spells such as dismissal or dispel good, as well as special abilities that drive possessing spirits out of their victims, can work on the channeled celestial, even if the mortal wants the celestial to remain. Okay, so this is the kind of stuff that I do like in these books. Because I thought that the possession material, even if it had a lot of a lot of detail. Of course, this is a different era of D&D. It makes me wish we had this level of detail still. But even if that level of detail was a bit more than you might actually play with, I still liked that it was there and it brought up those types of rules. And I like having the equivalent over here. I like this. Robert says, in The Lord of the Rings, evil could only be defeated by itself. Frodo couldn't resist, and if the elf queen had taken the ring, neither could she. She only resisted taking it. So that's good out of evil. That evil destroys itself? I guess so. Although that isn't particularly agentive on part of the heroes. So a mortal channeling. I can't even read this morning. A mortal channeling a celestial becomes a mortal manifestation of the celestial's power. The celestial can draw on all of the mortal's memories, and the celestial sees what the mortal sees. The mortal and the celestial can communicate telepathically, but neither has complete access to the current thoughts of the other. While channeling a celestial, the mortal's intelligence, wisdom, and charisma scores become 5 points lower than the celestial's, or remain the same as the mortal scores if they are higher. An increase in wisdom affects the mortal's will saves, and all three increase might affect bonuses, spells, and saving throw DCs for spells and special abilities. The mortal can use his own skills as the celestial skills. No, mortal can use his own skills and celestial skills. If the mortal and the celestial have the same skill, the skill of whichever has more ranks in the skill, use that one. Use the mortal's effective ability scores to determine skill modifiers. The channeling mortal can use all of the celestial's supernatural and spell-like abilities, and can cast spells known to the celestial if his requisite ability scores are high enough. The mortal remains in complete control of his own body while channeling the celestial, so celestials never allow non-good mortals to channel them. The mortal or celestial can end the channeling at any time as a free action. When this occurs, the celestial appears in an unoccupied space adjacent to the mortal. So we also have exalted cohorts, exalted gods, so an exalted cohort, an exalted character with a leadership feat may, at the GM's discretion, DM's discretion, acquire a celestial, a metallic dragon, a good aligned magical beast, or some other creature of good as a special cohort. I don't think I've seen that word used in that way before. But okay, so we've got things like even a blink dog is on here. Good morning, Stray. Oh, exorcism. All right, let's take a look at exorcism here. When evil spirits and fiends use their powers to possess corrupt mortals, the servants of good rely on exorcism to drive them out. The most basic methods of exorcism are spells such as banishment, dismissal, or dispel evil that can send a fiend back to the lower planes. Similarly, a cleric can attempt to turn a ghost or other undead creature that's possessing a living victim, causing the creature to abandon the body and flee in ethereal form. Certain characters have the supernatural ability to force possessing spirits out of a body or to censure evil outsiders, which likewise causes them to abandon the body they are possessing. Aside from spells and abilities to expel possessing creatures, certain other abilities and items can help exorcists perform their grim tasks. A possessing fiend can hide its presence from even magical detection by making a special hide check, as described in the Book of Vile Darkness. The spell-focused good feat applies to spells such as Detect Evil when a character uses them to discern the presence of a possessing fiend. Incense of Concentration is helpful when dealing with undead possessors, and a Thurible of Consecration amplifies its effect. The most useful aids, however, are items and substances that fiends find abhorrent, which make a banishment spell more likely to succeed. Certain items, such as Angel Radiance, can increase the saving throw DC and spell penetration ability of a lesser spell, such as Dismissal or Dispel Evil. Items in this category are detailed in Chapter 3, Exalted Equipment. Heroes of the Heavens. See, I feel like some of this material also, in both the Book of Vile Darkness and here, would help out running a Diablo campaign and would actually be better material at running a Diablo game than what we actually got for whatever that AD&D, or I think, was it AD&D? We think we talked about that. I don't remember what version it actually came with, but that Diablo book that we got that I thought was really terrible. I'm on that list for the Diablo RPG, but I feel like you could use this material in both of these books to construct a much better Diablo RPG. So what are the heroes of the heavens? For some players, having a character who struggles to live up to the highest celestial ideals is not sufficient. What they really want is to play a celestial. This is not a task for inexperienced players, since even the weakest celestials are equivalent to characters of moderately high level, 11th and up. For mature and experienced players with a compatible party, however, playing a celestial can be an entertaining and rewarding experience. It sounds like fun to me. There are 4 ways to make use of celestial player characters in game. One way is to incorporate a celestial into a party of mortal characters of level similar to the celestials, effective character level. So effective character level, that was ECL, so that is what that is. That came from the Fiend Folio for playing monsters as characters, alternate rules for that. Integrating a celestial into an existing party of characters should happen in a dramatic manner. If a player's previous character died, the campaign could portray that death as a heroic sacrifice that made the celestial's character's presence on the material plane possible, at least in the short time. If the player is new to the group, the celestial could be called through a planar ally or a gate spell and voluntarily decide to work with the party for a longer period of time than normal. Stray says, I want to play Diablo 1 in 5e. Oh, I didn't know this. Archon Publishing has an Inferno, as in Dante's Divine Comedy, setting for 5e. If you wanted to run a game about desperate, condemned souls in a hellscape, or literally hell, that's a great start. Well, we might have to look at that one sometime. That's a good one to put on the list. A second option is for all the players to take on celestial characters. In most cases, their adventures should take place in other planes of existence than the material plane. The powers of the heavens generally rely on mortal agents to do their work on the material plane, not adventuring parties of Archines and Eldrins. If they do adventure on the material plane, it should be for an incredibly significant purpose, such as preventing an entire material plane world from being sucked through a vortex into the abyss. The world-threatening cause, such as that, might also draw celestials of different kinds together to a united purpose, since most of the time Archons, Cardinals, or Eldrins keep to their own. Third, it's possible to run a campaign where each player has one mortal character and one celestial character. The two characters are bonded in some way. Perhaps the celestial is the PC's guardian angel. At any given time, a player runs only one of these two characters. Depending on the campaign, adventurers may shift focus between the all-mortal party and the all-celestial party, or different adventurers may require different characters in a mixed group. Ideally, the two groups of characters should be pursuing the same goals, some epic quest that requires both on the material plane and some other plane as well, requiring actions on both the material plane and other planes as well. As the mortal heroes complete grand quests on the material plane, they make it possible for the celestial characters to achieve some of their goals on the outer plane as well. For example, it's possible to set up the campaign so the mortal characters are unaware of that part they are playing in a grand celestial plan, while the players themselves have the satisfaction of knowing the importance of how the work the mortal PCs are doing. Knowing the importance of the work the mortal PCs are doing because they get to play Celestials who benefit from it as well. Well, here's heroic sacrifice and martyrdom, and it even talks about, I see it talks about Gandalf here. Oh, I'm sorry, it's Archon Games, not Publishing, James says. I'll toss a link in the Discord. They have PDFs for quick access, but the book quality is excellent. Sable says, I don't know if I'd be able to run a Diablo campaign. As good as the setting is for a... What is ARPG? The lore is only just deep enough for said ARPG. It never felt like a coherent world to me. More like a theme park for monster bashing. But there is a... I mean, there's a lot of monster bashing in Dungeons and Dragons. Oh, I see it. I actually have the Discord up in another window. Inferno is the first original Dante-esque campaign setting for 5th edition of the world's most important RPG ever created and played. All right, I will check that out. So the essence of heroism is expressed in situations where characters make a heroic sacrifice, giving up their own life in order to save his companions. Gandalf fighting the Balrog in Moria so his companions could escape in J.R.R. Tolkien's The Fellowship of the Ring is a classic and vivid example from fantasy literature. In addition to covering his friend's escape, a character might insert himself into an infernal machine that consumes his life in order to open a portal the rest of the party needs to get through, throw himself into negative energy vortex to prevent an apocalyptic machine from destroying the world, stay in the blazing inferno in order to close the portal through which devils are entering the world, or otherwise give his own life for the greater good. It's hard to reward dead characters, except in the upper planes where his soul goes to rest, but it's certainly possible to reward the player of such a character. The phenomenon of martyrdom is similar to that kind of heroic sacrifice. In the strictest sense, a martyr is a person who chooses to be killed rather than renouncing her religious beliefs. More generally, a martyr in the context of this book is a person who chooses death rather than renouncing her purity and her commitment to righteous deeds. A player who dies in combat is not automatically made a heroic sacrifice, nor is she necessarily a martyr. Both sacrifice and martyrdom require a clear decision on the part of the character, a willing sacrifice in order to achieve a higher purpose. Hey, oh, A is action. Oh, okay. Action RPG. Basically the genre that Diablo started. Okay. Good morning, PH. Oh, yes. If you're here and you're enjoying the stream, please do hit the like button. Of course, in the DnD Dungeons & Dragons game, death is not always the ultimate sacrifice. Like Gandalf, characters who die heroically are quite capable of returning from death. The character can be raised or resurrected. The body is if the character can be raised or resurrected, the body is recoverable, or other characters can cast true resurrection, then little reward is necessary. The DM might consider giving the character a special experience reward that helps offset but does not eliminate the cost of the level loss for a raised dead or resurrection. Do we still have level loss in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition for resurrections? If the character has no means of raising the character from the dead, the character might still return as a risen martyr. See the risen martyr prestige class in Chapter 5, remaining on the material plane in order to finish the quest he was on. There's no way for the dead character. If there's no way for the dead character to return, the DM could reward the player by allowing them to make a new character at a higher level than he would normally allow. The Dungeon Master's Guide suggests that new characters replacing old characters should begin at least first one level lower than the average party level or the lowest level character of the party. This makes creating a new character generally a less attractive option than a raised dead spell, thus encouraging parties' continuity. However, to reward particularly dramatic heroism, the DM could allow the player to make a new character of the same level as the dead one. Let's see. We got a chapter on, or a section here on mercy, prisoners, and redemption. Why don't we skip over that one? Go over to sainthood. So nope, 5e. 5e is namby-pamby D&D. You can lose experience, but you can never D-level in 5th edition. I remember, yeah, AD&D monsters with like level drain. Certain undead, especially. All right, so sainthood. Even an epic level character is probably a long way from becoming a deity, at least in most campaigns. However, there is a goal to which a purest and most devoutly good characters can aspire at almost any level, and that is sainthood. No temple or religious organization needs to give its formal approval for a character to become a saint. Rather, sainthood is a gift bestowed by deities of good and the mightiest celestials to those exalted heroes who deserve it. In order to qualify for sainthood, a character must meet the following qualifications as well as any additional requirements set by the DM. 1, must be of good alignment. 2, must have at least 3 exalted feats. 3, must never have lost the benefit of exalted feats or class abilities because of committing an evil act, even if the character properly atoned. 4, must at all times behave in a way the DM considers to be exemplary of the exalted path described in this book. Must be at least 6th level, must make an extraordinary sacrifice, not necessarily his or her life, for the good of another. Sable says, I shouldn't say never. I think there are a few monsters that can de-level you, but resurrection spells don't de-level you. Tomocrat says, isn't there a dark 5e system that we have reviewed and talked about mortality? A dark 5e system that we reviewed and talked about, or morality. I can't recall the name. I don't have access to the web right now, but a popular new 5th edition alternative and very brutal. I don't remember which one that would be. Lynn says, I vaguely recall that resurrection knocked your con score down permanently. I remember that too, or had the potential to in OD&D. I remember that too. I want to say there was the con loss or potential con loss. I've got this book. I want to say that was true. Wizard spells. Oh, I forget. The spells in this book are not organized so that you can find them. They're organized by priest and then by wizard and then by level rather than just alphabetically. Let's see. Resurrection. Well, okay. You restore. No, this does say right here. Actually, this does raising the dead. A character restored to life. It's what says curative and healing spells have no effect on dead characters. He can survive. He can only be returned to life by a raised dead or resurrection spell, or a device that accomplishes one of these effects. Every time a character is returned to life, the player must make a resurrection survival roll based on current constitution. If the die roll is successful, the character is restored to life in whatever condition is specified by the spell or device. But a character restored to life in this way has his constitution permanently lowered by 1 point. So this cannot go on forever. Should the character's constitution bonus go down, the character's hit point total is reduced by the appropriate number of hit points. The amount of hit points lost is multiplied by the number of levels for which the character gained additional hit points for that bonus. When the character's constitution drops to 0, that character can no longer be raised. He is permanently removed from play. So yes. Resurrection, survival checks, and constitution loss. Sable says, resurrection should cost something more than monetary outlay for diamond dust or whatever. Say, PH says, I remember when resurrection would take 1 level or 1 constitution. Tough choice. When money was experience, it was also losing experience. Oh, yeah. PH, I remember that too. Worst was reincarnate from the druid. You would normally change completely your race. Sometimes it would become completely unpractical to keep playing. I don't think I ever had that one cast, but I remember that. I remember like, okay, so you're going to be roll for whatever you got reincarnated as now, right? Oh, but Lynn's played in that. Lynn's played with that. Lynn says, yeah, I played a couple of campaigns where characters got reincarnated as something very different than they started out. So what happens when you become a saint? A character who meets these criteria and achieves this pinnacle of sanctification can acquire the saint template detailed in Chapter 8 on monsters at the DM's discretion. Upon acquiring the template, usually shortly after making the great sacrifice that confirmed the exalted status, the character sacrifices her next 2 levels of advancement in order to catch up with the artificially low level adjustment of the template. For example, a 7th level paladin who becomes a saint becomes the equivalent of a 9th level character. She must accumulate a total of 45,000 XP to gain a new level, becoming an 8th level paladin and a 10th level character. So saint is powerful. We'll look that up in just a second. A saint is still a far cry from godhood. She's more like an earthly celestial. However, saints have an advantage over ordinary mortals when good deities are concerned. Their deities always hear their prayers and pay attention. In game terms, this translates to a handful of minor spell-like abilities. In the game world, however, people tend to flock to saints in order to receive their blessings and bring their concerns to the ears of deities. Saints often spend an hour in prayer every day, simply lifting up the names of those who have approached them for help and ask them to pray on the supplicant's behalf. I'm going to put a marker here, but then we need to look at the saint template. Must be a lot if it's 2 levels worth of stuff. Saint 184. See, that's also kind of a weird looking saint to me. But a saint, medium outsider, augmented humanoid native. Oh, there's a lot here. Hit dice. So I guess this is if you're just creating an NPC. Hit dice 7d10 plus 14. Initiative -1. Speed 20 feet in full plate, 30-foot base. Armor class 23. Base attack grapple +7 +9. We've got attack with a long sword for +11 melee. Full attack +1 long sword +11 to hit. +6 melee. Or masterwork composite longbow +2 strength. With arrows. It says, mortals by birth, celestials by virtue. A saint is the epitome of exalted mortal nature. When a living creature lives her entire life as an exemplar of the principles of good, she may become a saint. See Sainthood in Chapter 2 for more information about the process of sanctification. A saint looks no different than she did before achieving sanctification, though she's surrounded by a palpable aura of holiness that sometimes, though not always, takes visible form in her protective aura of light. This example uses a 7th level human paladin as the base creature. Combat. The saint is a model of warrior virtue, fighting fairly, offering quarter, and defending the cause of good to the death. Holy power. The save DCs of any and all of the saint's special attacks, including spells, as well as spell-like abilities, supernatural abilities, increased by +2. Holy touch. A saint's entire being is suffused with holy power, which likewise flows into any weapon the saint wields. A saint's melee attacks with any weapon or unarmed deal an additional 1d6 points of holy damage against evil creatures and 1d8 points against evil undead and evil outsiders. Any evil creatures that strikes the saint with natural weapon takes a holy damage as if she had been hit by the saint's attack. Whoa. Lynn says that sounds like more like cyberpunk than fantasy. Aura of Courage. Immune to fear. Allies within 10 feet gain a +4 morale bonus on saves against fear. Detect evil at will. Divine Grace applies charisma modifier as a bonus to all saving throws, including the statistics above. Lay on Hands cures 42 points of damage per day. That's quite a bit of healing the Saints got. Remove disease once per week. Special mount. Summon mount once per day. Duration 14 hours. Paladin spells prepared include Bless Weapon, Lantern Light. See, creating a Saint. Saint is an acquired template that can be added to any living creature of a good alignment that's not an outsider or elemental, referred hereinafter as the base creature. See Sainthood, Chapter 2, for more information about becoming a Saint. Size and type stay unchanged. Armor class. A Saint gains an insight bonus of AC equal to the character's wisdom bonus. Special attacks. A Saint retains all the specialized attacks and gains those listed below. Holy Power. The save DCs of any and all of the Saint's special attacks, including spells as well as supernatural and extraordinary abilities, increased by +2. Holy Touch. A Saint's entire being is suffused with Holy Power, which likewise flows into any weapon the Saint wields. So that's the D6 plus D8 damage. Spell-like abilities at will. Guidance, Resistance, Virtue, and Bless. Special qualities, damage reduction. Saints gain damage reduction according to their hit die, including character level. So it is good to become a Saint. The augmented human part. Fast healing. Each round, a Saint heals damage equal to half of its hit dice, including character levels, to a maximum of 10 hit healed. If the base creature already has fast healing, use the better value. Immunities. A Saint is immune to acid, cold, electricity, and petrification attacks. Keen vision. Saints have low light vision for a 60-foot dark vision. Protective aura. As a free action, a Saint can surround herself with a nimbus of light having a radius of 20 feet. This action as a double strength this acts as a double strength magic circle against evil and a lesser globe of invulnerability. Both is cast by a cleric whose level is equal to the Saint's hit die. Resistance. Saints have resistance to fire 10 and receive a +4 racial bonus on fortitude saves against poison. Tongues. A Saint can speak with any creature that has a language, as though using a tongue spell by a 14th level cleric. This ability is always active. Abilities. Modify the base creature as follows: +2 con, wisdom +2, charisma +4. Challenge rating, same as base creature +2. Level adjustment, same as base creature +2. We next have sanctified creature right here. Hey, good morning, Andrew. All right. Well, that sounds pretty cool. It does give you more to strive for. Like, what about an Iosimar Paladin Exalted Iosimar Paladin Saint? That would be quite a warrior for good. All right. Well, I have got things I've got to do. I'm going to try to finish up the videos and these landing pages so we can get started doing things. Man, we need to bring more people in. We need to let people know what we're doing here for both the cultist games and also the coffee shop, RavenCon. So I'm looking forward to that. So I'm going to try to power through here. All right, everybody, go have a wonderful day. Yes, please do like the video. Please go forth. Oh, hey, Doc. We're just wrapping up. But go and check out the stream here. All right, so everybody, go forth, be creative, be constructive, and have a wonderful day. Later.